Hello students, welcome to my class. In today's class, we are going to discuss the chapter electrolysis. We are going to revise with all the important questions that you may get in the question paper. We need to be very serious now and keep ourselves ready for the board exam. So the questions which can be asked, or I can say the expected questions in your board paper, we will be discussing all of them, maybe in 2 classes. In today's class I may not include all. I will include a little portion today so that I keep you ready for the next class where I can come with more questions in this chapter. I'm not discussing all the questions of electrolysis today, but definitely I will try to cover up everything because this chapter is really important. And every year I have seen many questions asked from this chapter, and I'm not going to skip any of the questions which are really important and I feel they will be there in the board paper. So to begin with today's class, let me tell you that I have not written down the answers here because all the definition questions, all the equations, all the answers are already there in the video where I have taught the chapter. So if you really want to refer, please go and watch my video on the chapter electrolysis. But definitely yes, I have discussed all the answers. Just leaving the definition ones because definitions I have not redefined here. As I had already told you children, for definition, please refer to your own textbook. Learn them, write them down in your notebook, correct, check for your mistakes. And as I had also told you, the definitions should be exact. Please do not write it in your own words. Please learn them, by heart them. And I have kept in mind that the video is definitely going to help you. But yes, if you really feel that my classes are helping you out and my revision classes are also liked by you, please like my channel, share and subscribe my channel, children. Okay, so let's begin. So the very first question, definitely I will put it the same, define the following terms. One thing here children, that when we say the definition question, of course we define many terms. Some chapters have quite a number of terms, some chapters have less, and we actually do not know which terms are to be asked. There are maybe 3 to 5 in the question paper, but yes, we have to keep ready with all. So if we are talking about the terms in this chapter, they can be defined the following terms as electrolysis, electrolyte, strong, weak or non-electrolyte, cathode and anode, anions and cations, oxidation, reduction, dissociation, ionization, electroplating, are some of the terms. Sometimes what they do, instead of asking for the definition, some they put it in the form of definition, for some they put it in the form of difference. Like if they give one difference between the cation and anion, definitely when it is one difference, you are expected to give the definition, not the examples at all. Examples are supplied with the definition. When you are defining a particular term, please supply examples. But when you are writing the difference between the two terms, you should define them as the first point. It should never be the examples in the first point. That will not fetch marks for you. So please keep this in mind. Definition exact from your text along with examples. Difference, if it is one difference, go for definition. And one more thing I should point out here is if they really want to check you whether you have learnt with the compound's name or not, they may give the jumbles compound's name and ask you to segregate as strong electrolyte, weak electrolyte or non-electrolyte. They can also put a question in a twisted form wherein they can ask you that if the electrolyte contains only ions, what is it? If the electrolyte contains ions and molecules, what is that? If they contain only molecules, what is that? That means only molecules means that there is no ionization, there is no dissociation, non-electrolyte. Ions and molecules, weak electrolyte. Only ions, strong electrolyte. So your concept should be very clear. If you are proper with the definition and a little bit of explanation, you will definitely be successful in writing this question. So that I have given you enough ideas about definition questions. I have also included the difference factor here. I have given you the point where you can write down the points of differences. And one more thing I just wanted to tell you is that when you are writing the definition, see that you also prepare the other questions which can be asked from that part. Like only definition and skip the part. Don't do double work. When you are preparing that part, see that you are able to answer the other referent questions also from there. Okay, so comes to the next question. The next question would be very simple. State the factors that influence the selective discharge of ions. So simple. A lot of explanation is done in the chapter ionization, which I don't want to repeat once again. That if it is placed higher up or lower down in the electrochemical series, what happens? If it is a dilute or concentrated electrolyte, what happens? If it is inert, if it's an inert or active electrolyte, electrode, what happens? So straight away, no need to explain. If the question is saying state the factors, it should be straight and simple that the factors that influence a selective discharge of ions at the electrodes are relative position of cations or anions in the electrochemical series, first one. Concentration of ions in the electrolyte, second one. Nature of the electrode, third one. As simple as that. You just have to mention the factor, state the factor simply. No explanation here. Normally the chemistry question carries 1 mark, 2 marks, where in that 1 mark they will not ask you to explain. In case they are asking for an explanation, just write that if it is placed lower, where and how will it be discharged. Compare between the one placed lower and one placed above. Like there are two cations in the electrolyte, which is preferably discharged at the cathode. If the ions are more, that is if the concentration of the electrolyte is more, what will happen? And about the inert and active electrode. Okay. So the next question, what are the applications of electrolysis? Straight and simple: electroplating, electrorefining, and that is we can go for metallurgy, that is during metallurgy, extraction of metal. Uses, if they ask, then you can write for electroplating, that is for preventing rusting, or it can also give a very bright appearance of an article which is desired. Electrorefining again comes to metallurgy, where the metal which has to be extracted should be in the purest form. So if it is application, just the term and you can explain in one word. If it is uses, then go for the use of those applications. Simple, clear? Okay. The next question. What do you observe? Important question. What do you observe during the electrolysis of copper sulfate solution using the platinum electrode and the copper electrode? So we were just now discussing about the active and inert electrode. If the same electrolyte, that is a copper sulfate solution, is taken as the electrolyte, and you are asked to give the difference in their observation when they are electrolyzed with an inert electrode, that is platinum electrode, and the active electrode, that is the copper electrode. So if we talk about the anode, what happens or what change do you observe when you see the anode? For the inert, that is the platinum electrode, we see that the colorless gas is released that rekindles the glowing splinter, because copper sulfate will give you copper ion, sulfate ion. Copper sulfate solution, so water will give you hydrogen and OH ion. So preferably at the anode, OH will get discharged and oxygen will be released. So it's a colorless gas that rekindles the glowing splinter. But if we go for the active electrode, that is the copper electrode, the anode size decreases, because the anode is the copper metal itself which dissociates and supplies the ions to the electrolyte, so the size or the mass decreases. If we come to the cathode, for the platinum electrode, the size increases, that is a red metal deposit, copper gets deposited. There is no difference in observation when it is the inert or active. In both the cases, size increases with a reddish pink metal deposit to be seen. So we cannot write about cathode as a point of difference. So that is a similarity. The second difference will be with the electrolyte. If it is the platinum electrode, that is the inert electrode, then the blue color fades, because the copper sulfate supplies copper ions which gives that blue color, and the copper ions are constantly discharged at the cathode, so the blue colors fades with time. But when we come to the active electrode, that is the copper electrode, we see that the blue color is remaining same. It remains. Why? Because the copper ions are constantly being supplied by the anode, so the blue color doesn't fade. So these are the 2 points of differences with respect to anode and electrolyte. Okay, then the next question. What should be the cathode and the anode during the electro refining of copper? When you are refining copper, what should be your cathode and anode? So copper, I think we just discussed about the copper anion, hydrogen ion and all that. So the cathode should be always the pure copper, because when we are talking about metallurgy, our intention is to get the pure metal, and the metal is always discharged at the cathode. So the cathode should be the pure metal strip, and the anode is the impure copper. Copper from where the copper ions are constantly coming to the electrolyte and it is constantly discharged at the cathode as pure copper. That is the way of electrorefining. Next question. Give reason with respect to electroplating. So when we are talking about electroplating, there are certain necessities, or you can say the conditions, which are a must. The metal to be plated as the anode. If you are having silver plating, your anode should be a silver plate. So why? The question is why. During electrolysis, the metal in the anode ionizes continuously to form ions which are supplied to the electrolyte. And since these are the copper or metallic ions, so the positively charged ions which will be discharged to the cathode. So the metal to be deposited or to be plated should always be your anode. Second, the electrolyte contains the metal ions to be electroplated. Like if you are having a copper plating, you cannot have silver ions in your electrolyte, because the metal ions which will discharge at the cathode to form a thin film of metal on the article. So you have kept your article as the cathode. You want that metal to be plated, that film to be plated. So definitely your electrolyte should have that metal ions. Third, the low current for longer time. You should not have more current, finish it off in small duration. It should be low current and it should be in a proper, slow, steady, longer time. The low current does not allow the electrolyte to heat up, which helps in uniform film deposition on the cathode or on the article which is kept as the cathode. Then DC is preferred because AC current causes discharge on alternate electrodes. Thus, no effective coating on the surface of the article is actually there because alternate current will not have deposition, so we need to have direct current. One more question will be, the cathode is the article to be plated. Definitely the metal ions which are positively charged get discharged at the cathode, so the article which has to be plated should be always the cathode. I have just started the chapter today. I will be coming with many more questions very soon. So till then you revise this chapter. I will be coming back on the rest of the part of this chapter for sure, and I am going to discuss all the rest of the questions here. This was just a start to tell you how to prepare this important chapter. Okay children, please like, share and subscribe my channel. Bye, take care.